So, okay, we'll just deal with myself being there. Okay, so go ahead and take a look at where it says Miss Caroline, our character analysis, Miss Caroline. Remind me where we got on Friday. Where did we stop? Look on your document. I think we got to 3, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to analyze Miss Caroline as a character. What you want to do, and I had suggested this the other day, is it'd be a good idea to get a folder with just To Kill a Mockingbird stuff. So this would be another good thing to add to that folder. Because at the end of the unit, you're going to be writing a paper. It's not going to be until after winter break. So you want to kind of compile all of these activities we're working on, because that's going to ultimately help you when we go to write the paper. So let's go ahead and look at number 4. It says what she does. So we're looking at what she says, what she does, how people think about her, and we're trying to draw some conclusions about her as a character. So here's something Miss Caroline does. It says, our teacher says Miss Caroline's introducing, and this is Jem talking about her, Miss Caroline's introducing a new way of teaching she learned about in college. I'm just trying to tell you all the new ways they're teaching the first grade stubborn. It's the Dewey Decimal System. The Dewey Decimal System consisted in part of Miss Caroline waving cards at us on which were printed the, cat, rat, man, you. No comments seemed to be expected of us, and the class received these impressionistic revelations in silence. I was bored, so I began a letter to Dill. Now, based on this, what conclusion can we draw about Miss Caroline? How is she teaching the kids? Is it interactive? No. What's her style of teaching? Okay, explain that, Cam.
I think these kids are in first grade, correct?
Yes.
They probably would like to talk, and she's keeping them quiet, not letting them use any other skills that they would need to use as a first grader, and she's showing them flashcards, not letting them talk, and trying to make them the cat and the rat.
Okay. Good, yeah. So her way of teaching is just like her telling the children, and she seems to think that she is the only one that can give them this knowledge and teach them how to read. However, we're looking at her methods and we're like, it could be better, that just showing them cards and expecting them not to do anything and just like yelling the words at them does not seem to be effective, right? So, and to the point where Scout is bored out of her mind, right? And so she starts writing this letter to her friend Dill. So go ahead and put a conclusion about her. Maybe it's that her teaching methods do not seem to be working on the first grade. It could be that she seems to not see when her own students are drifted off, not really paying attention. Now, this is the last one we're going to work on, and then we're going to get to some questions at the bottom here. So this is her interaction with others. And this is that scene with Walter in the quarter that we talked about. So you might be able to put something down quickly since we've discussed this already. Miss Caroline walked up and down the rows, peering and poking into lunch containers, nodding if the contents pleased her, frowning a little at others. She stopped at Walter Cunningham's desk. "Where's yours?" she asked. "Did you forget your lunch this morning?" asked Miss Caroline. Walter looked straight ahead. I saw a muscle jump in his skinny jaw. "Did you forget it this morning?" asked Miss Caroline. Walter's jaw twitched again. "Yum," he finally mumbled. Miss Caroline went to her desk and opened her purse. "Here's a quarter," she said to Walter. "Go and eat downtown today. You can pay me back tomorrow." Walter shook his head. "No, thank you, ma'am," he drawled softly. Impatience crept into Miss Caroline's voice. "Here, Walter, come and get it." Walter shook his head again. "Walter's one of the Cunninghams, Miss Caroline." "I beg your pardon, Jean Louise." "That's okay, ma'am. You'll get to know the county folks after a while. The Cunninghams never took anything they can't pay back. No church baskets and no scrimp stamps. They never took anything off of anybody. They get along on what they have. They don't have much, but they get along on it." So what conclusions can we draw about Miss Caroline based on this interaction here, do we think? What conclusions can we draw based on this interaction here? What conclusions can we draw? Think about it. Take a minute. Ethan, what conclusions do you think we could draw about Miss Caroline here?
Miss Caroline doesn't really understand, social cues, or not social cues, but, she is very forceful on what she
Okay.
Like, he obviously won't take this order, and she's like insisting she takes it. Like, she's not gonna take no for an answer.
Good point. And how does she get when he keeps on refusing? Is she like
She's
compassionate?
like slightly more irritated with him, you know?
Right, yeah, she gets irritated with him. Instead of being like, oh, something's clear, like I'm clearly offending him, or like he doesn't want, like he's uncomfortable right now and I can see that. Instead of being instead of like realizing that and thinking about things from his perspective, she just jumps in and gets frustrated and keeps on insisting. Right? So good point there. What other conclusions can we draw here about her? Yeah, Michaela.
She's just not used to how they do things.
Right? She doesn't understand this community. So we talked about this the other day. She clearly does not understand the types of students she is educating here, right? And this becomes very blatant. She doesn't understand why Walter keeps refusing her quarter. She doesn't pick up on the fact that he's not wearing shoes, that he probably can't pay her back. And she just kind of like, I think Ethan was getting at this, almost like she sees him as being rude in refusing to take this quarter, when we come to find out there's no way he would have been able to pay her back. All right. Now, there's another one right here. We're going to, and actually a couple more, we're going to skip down to the bottom here just because we need to move on to our next chapter. So it says, so here is a full chapter on school in Maycomb and a detailed description of Scout's teacher. There must be a purpose for writing this chapter since it's not tied to any big plot details. What is Harper Lee trying to say about education? So I'm going to give you a couple minutes, and I want you to work with the people around you on this. So the first question is, does the reader like Miss Caroline? Either highlight or bold, yes or no. What traits of Miss Caroline make the audience like or dislike her? List some of her qualities that make you like or dislike her. 3, do you think Miss Caroline is a good or bad teacher? And then I want you to reflect on, what is Harper Lee trying to say about educating children here, do you think? So I'm going to give you about 4 or 5 minutes, talk with the people around you, and answer 1 through 4 right now. Go ahead and get started. Reader, like Miss Caroline, how many people said yes? How many people said no? Overwhelmingly no. Why? Why don't we like Miss Caroline? So what details make the audience like or dislike her? So like right off the bat, what made you dislike her? So I think we pretty much dislike her right off the bat. Or at least I did. Yeah, Tyler, what made you dislike her right off the bat?
She sees her way as the only right way.
Okay, good point. She sees her way as the only right way, and specifically what situation pops up where she is unwilling to see that there's another way?
Scout learning to read.
Yeah, she literally scolds a first grader for being able to read. How many of you know first graders? Picture a little first grader being like reading and being like, no, you're doing it wrong. Go tell your parents to stop reading you bedtime stories, gosh darn it. Right? Like, she is not pleasant to this little girl who knows how to read, where really she should be like, oh, great job, great job. She is not like that. She is bringing Scout down when she should be maybe praising Scout, right? So good point there. She thinks her way is the only way. Cam?
She can't understand kids very well, and she isn't socially aware in any aspect of the story.
Wait, what was that? She doesn't socially...
She's not socially aware in any aspect of the story.
Okay, so that's another good point, right? She is socially unaware of what's going on. She doesn't understand her students, nor is she picking up on little details about them, right? Like, she should have realized after the first time she offered him the quarter that, okay, he's not going to be able to pay me back. Clearly, he feels uncomfortable right now. Or, even if she didn't realize that, realizing that her student feels uncomfortable and, maybe go up to him and have a conversation instead of announcing this to the whole class, right? Morgan, what were you going to say?
It was kind of like off of what she said, that she can't take no for an answer.
Okay. So, and yeah, the fact that she, won't back down or accept that she doesn't know something. She won't take no for an answer. Good point there. Okay? Anything else about her? Anything else about her that we don't like? Yeah, last one. She said what? Okay, explain that a little bit.
Well, obviously, the kids weren't learning if they were bored out of their mind if they're just waving the flashcards.
Okay. Yeah, so they're not paying attention to the stories she's reading because they can't relate to them because they haven't really had the ability to utilize their imagination because they've been working on the farms their whole life. And she clearly is not picking up on that and making modifications. And then she's just waving these cards at them and they're like, okay. And Scout is completely bored out of her mind. Now, it seems like we probably all agree that, is she a good or bad teacher? Okay, bad teacher? No. What do you think Harper Lee is trying to say about educating children here? Does she believe that this method of just like waving cards at them is a good way to teach kids? Ethan, what do you think?
I think that what Harper Lee, right?
Yeah.
What she's trying to tell them is about being a teacher is not just about getting kids to learn. It's about making an emotional connection with them that makes them want to learn. Because that's the entire point of teaching. It's not just to get them to know rat, cat, hand. It's about getting them to want to know that. You know? Like all of the best teachers I've had all made a personal connection with me.
Right.
Which made me learn more in the end.
Right, and right now she clearly is not making that personal connection. And granted, it's the first day. Like maybe we're judging her harshly, all right, but maybe we're not. I mean, I feel like some of her methods are probably ones she continued to have. But yeah, good point there. Anything else we think that she's trying to get across about the education system?
I just said that you, like, in order to enjoy school, you probably have to have a teacher that's good at teaching. Like, you like to learn from them.
Okay, right. And I mean, again, maybe we're judging Miss Caroline harshly, but like, you know, scolding a first grader on day one for being able to read and write doesn't seem like a good approach to things, right? And maybe if we're looking at Harper Lee and what she believes, maybe she believes that the education system as it was when she was writing this wasn't good, right? Like the fact that you're just yelling words at kids and expecting them to remember them doesn't seem like it's an effective way to reach kids. And clearly she is showing that, hey, if a teacher can't understand the social situation of his or her students, like she's going to have a hard time being effective, right? Like Miss Caroline completely misunderstands her students, and it creates problems in this chapter, and we're going to see it creates some problems in chapter 3, which we're about to get into here. All right, so if you would, make sure this is saved to that folder. Like, again, I would suggest having a folder in Google Drive dedicated to Kill a Mockingbird. So make sure that's saved there, and then you can go ahead and submit this to the Buzz Dropbox as well.